Hey, cyber traders, welcome on back here this Wednesday afternoon, March 10th, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern time, and welcome on back here for our afternoon meeting. Let's get a quick sound check just to begin. Make sure everyone can hear me loud and clear. Great to see Bonnie, John, Greg, Norman, all live inside our trading room. Sharon, Gary, later on, all of our students joining us as well. Perfect, loud and clear from all. Good to see everybody and all of us joining on social media, Facebook Live and YouTube. Welcome on back. A little lazy to begin today, I should say. I don't have my Dow chart up here right below AMC. We'll talk about AMC in just a second here, folks. Just give me a split sec. I always like to show at least the Dow, if not the Dow, maybe the S&P at times. But either way, just to have a major index up. You can see the Dow up over 500 points today once again. We'll actually drag back to yesterday. We're not even talking about AMC yet here as much, but just looking at the Dow, you could see we ended up having a pretty crappy close. Ended up seeing pretty much right from 2:30 in the afternoon yesterday, a big dive off. Well, not really the same for today, huh? We ended up seeing a nice pop once the market opened within the Dow, and smooth sailing since. So hopefully that will be the same going into the close. Now for AMC, I don't even know where to begin on this trade. This is one of the craziest moves I've seen, but I guess I'm not really that surprised based on what we saw going back into the end of January, going into the beginning of February. So really quick, we ended up seeing GameStop make another run up once again once the market opened, perhaps with the market, but I know that there was a lot of traction on Reddit once again with GameStop, AMC, BlackBerry, Bed Bath Beyond, KOSS, all these trades. So you could see, what's on the 1 minute chart there. They all made the same move. Right around 12:30 Eastern time, right where we thought everything was just fine. There was no news that came out, but all of a sudden, bam, a huge drop off on GameStop. I ended up getting out of a trade on AMC just because I saw the drop in GameStop initially. I didn't know it was going to make the drop that we ended up seeing, really. But once it started to turn, I ended up closing out a trade on AMC. I forgot where my entry was, maybe like 1175-ish or 1160-ish. I got out like 1210-ish and poof, got out just in the nick of time. This ended up just taking a big dive off with GameStop, and alongside these two, we ended up seeing all the others. KOSS, I mean, this is like super low float. So as big as this popped, this ended up making it one of the sharper drop-offs to where this got halted 2 or 3 times over. And we all know here inside our live trading room that when a stock gets halted on the way down, that's usually game over. That's the end of the show. For a stock as volatile as KOSS, I'm sure there could be some sort of dollar pop-up going into the final hour today, but it's not worth our time. Look at the spread, look at the liquidity on the order book. So for anyone that caught this trade with Fausto early in the morning and squeezed it up going into the late morning there, I hope that you got out in time as all the others ended up turning over too. But, it just goes to show when you see a stock drop that fast, if it gets halted, typically when it reopens, it's going to make for a bigger gap down off the reopen compared to when a stock gets halted on the way up. And when you see it reopen on the way up, there's not as big of a gap up as you would want to see when a stock gets halted on the way up, comparative to what we see here on the way down. We ended up seeing big gaps on the reopens here on KOSS. We ended up seeing the same on GameStop. I ended up taking a loss. I think just one on AMC. Thankfully, I ended up trying to catch the dead cat bounce originally from 11, so it ended up spiking down really hard. I didn't catch it here, but when it ended up squeezing up here, I think it was this green bar where I tried to get this to run back up. Just wasn't working. So I ended up taking like a 20 or 22 cent loss from there. I ended up making a lot of money on this stock though afterwards. I got in from 10 once, and then just twice before here, right before we started the meeting, I ended up getting in from 10:01 out at like 10:16 or something. For what it's worth right now, and it's pretty much how I thought it was going to go. I figured that this wouldn't really look to squeeze right back up, probably pull back down to 10, if not even break lower. But for right now, at least out of all these wacky ones that we've seen trade today, I wouldn't be interested in anything aside from AMC. And I say that just based on the liquidity. It's easier to read. That's not to say it's going to make a bounce. So if you happen to see GameStop continue to drop off, then I would only assume for AMC to move more with that compared to what we're seeing out of the Dow and the S&P entirely, like the major indexes here. You could just see the Dow at the high of the day. That doesn't really matter when you're trading AMC right now. So just keep that in mind. We've been talking about that all across the last week or so, using GameStop as a guide or a gauge in order to trade a stock like AMC. That's a lot more tradable, at least. John S. says, at least you could short AMC. Exactly. That's why I was saying, hey, if GameStop craps out the other way or craps out even further, then AMC, should that break like a 990 level, which I had lined up going into the market open as like a bit of a support, that could be a pretty good short opportunity. So keep that in mind. Also, by the way, folks, AMC earnings, AMC earnings after the bell today. I was just looking at my whiteboard calendar. I'm here back in my home office. I have Express earnings from this morning. So that's what led us to focus on, AMC and GameStop originally. With Express earnings out this morning, they ended up having a lot of activity in pre-market. They popped after the open and moved up with the rest. So just keep a good eye on AMC earnings for the after hours today. I wouldn't imagine they would have like good numbers, but obviously that'll lead to a lot of volatility if you're sticking around in the after hours. That could be worth a good trade. All right, so outside of the AMC and the GameStop trades, we ended up doing really well across the board on some of these other stocks. The ENVB stock, this was one that we more so caught from pre-market. It was a big squeeze after 8 o'clock in the morning. I know Fausto put that on the morning watch list, and he talked all about it early. But this ended up just continuing to push up once the market opened up. There was a small little pullback at 9:30, but once it coiled up and broke higher, it just kept going. So pushed all the way up towards an eventual high off of 7. Whole number resistance off of $7, but from there, unfortunately, it's not to say that that this was like a really large cap stock, one that we've traded in the past. I don't know what the float is, but nonetheless, you could see the volume begin to die off rather quickly, and more people really look to take profits around that 7 peak. So it ended up diving off, made for a nice midday bounce. Don't get me wrong, great range from pre-market and the market open. So it looks like it held support at first and pushed back up nicely. But for right now, though, just for the afternoon, I'm not expecting much at all on this one. All right, we ended up doing pretty well on bingo. By we, I mean most of you folks inside our live room. Not to say I lost money on bingo. Actually, for the afternoon, I had a nice little trade. But I ended up botching this so badly. So I wanted to cover this really quickly. Just for all of us live inside the trading room, of course, for all of us on social media, quick little free lesson for you folks here too. But, going into the market open today for the bingo trade after we did so well on it yesterday, obviously I was going to keep my focus on it for this morning, but I wasn't guaranteeing continuation on the way up. I was hoping to see like a nice move at some point. So on this trade, I ended up seeing this break below a support shortly after the market opened. It was right off of $9.39, $9.40. So after the first 5 minutes, it was coiling up. It failed to break higher. I ended up taking, I think it was like a 3 or 2 cent profit, like dinky profit. Well, it ended up pulling back. I pulled the trigger on a short from 9.39. And it was just so slow. So I didn't want to watch just the grass grow and that was it. So for that reason, I just said, oh, all right, well, you know what? I'm going to focus on something else. I should have just trusted my first instinct, and I should have just, followed my levels and trusted them at least. This ended up breaking down about like 5 or 8 minutes after I got out. I just didn't re-enter, and it just kept dropping and dropping and dropping throughout the day. So for as well as I did on bingo on the way up yesterday, I could have done just as well on the way down today. I ended up just second guessing my first instinct there. And unfortunately, that costed me the short. So for what it's worth, it ended up pulling back this bingo trade right down to a major support level that we had from yesterday. That was practically the opening bell print from yesterday at 8:31. 8:40 was also a major level. So most recently on this trade, I ended up shorting this. I took like a 3 cent short, but then I ended up going long from 8.43, squeezed it up to 8.62 or something, like right where it is now. So for the afternoon, I wouldn't mind putting this just on our side list. Maybe we'll check back in with this just at the very end of this meeting if it ends up making like a sharper, more volatile move for us. Say the same with the NNDM stock. That was one that we also watched from yesterday, did pretty well on in pre-market this morning. As that was inching up. So, that one ended up trading pretty similarly with bingo. They moved pretty well together. All right, before we go from top to bottom, folks, across the gainers and losers list, I got a call out here from one of our new trial members here. Oh, actually, one of our longtime platinum students, actually, perhaps rejoining us here inside the live trading room. James, he's calling out EYES, EYES. Just saying, there it goes again. Nice squeeze here so far and a good call. Well, if EYES is pushing, we all know what else to watch. Years. And for anyone new here, I'm not joking around when I say that. Just look at the chart on the daily side. So, nice little squeeze up on the EYES trade. Ears, I wouldn't be shocked if that ends up going with it. For as much as both of those had moved up across the last couple of days, I don't know if we'll see continuation. So it's definitely a great shout from James. Good call. We'll just check back in with those just at the end. We'll see if there's more momentum pushing those up by the time we finish. All right. So with that said, let's go from top to bottom, folks. The ENVB, we kind of already covered number one. It's still up 75%, but not going anywhere right now. That year's trade will pop. What the hell happened here? Roblox, I guess new IPO. I saw Jerry type in the company name. I didn't know the ticker, so I didn't really think much of it. But then here we are now, Roblox, right? Just that's the company name here. RBLX made a big pop once it opened up. I don't know what the opening price was, but you could see it kind of squeezed from 60.50 up to practically 75. It's just really expensive. So it's trading a lot of volume for a $75, $70 IPO, 102 million shares. So if it's lower in price, I'd be more interested. But otherwise, I'm going to just try and find stocks more within my price range. KOSS, again, we kind of already covered. I probably shouldn't have even clicked on it. Just, it's not worth watching for the afternoon. CETX popped after the open. This kind of went how I thought it would go. I didn't trade this after 9:30, but you could have, picked up some good money at first. Ended up making a pop breakout from 3, held a higher low originally, and squeezed to break a new high going into the mid-morning as it topped off right around like 4:15, 4:20-ish. But damn, the volume fell off, and as did the stock. This thing just crumbled right back down. So, the writing was on the wall on this trade. I really say that because it popped super early in pre-market. It was only dumping back down after. So, there was money to be made on the stock, certainly, but the end result's not surprising, seeing this just dump right back down. Probably say the same here for MNOV. I had high hopes on this, but the same pattern I saw in pre-market leading into the open, it just kept dropping. So with that happening going into the market open, I'm not as inclined to think it's just going to pop and make this big continuous move up. So, for the CETX, you could have done well on that one, but the MNOV not as much. I saw Rich call out GBR, pop and drop right now. This stock kind of trades low volume on a day-to-day basis. Ended up making a huge pop going back into early Feb, late Jan, from 5 all the way up to what is this, $30, $32 here. From 226 the low, all the way up to practically 31. It closed at 25, so it took a 7.6 point drop, and then it gapped down that much more in the pre-market the following morning. That was it. So, I wouldn't be surprised if history repeats itself going into today, going into tomorrow morning. I just mean to see this continuously break down now at this point. All right, got the LYL. I saw a quick call out on this one just before. This one making a nice afternoon push here for us. Yeah, easy enough just to put on our list. You only have AMC on our watch list so far, so it's a pretty lonely watch list now, or at least we have the LYL now. Pushing up, you could see a couple of orders on the ask, about 8,000 shares at 239. It's not really that big of an order at 235, but about 4,700 shares here. Got the warrants for Fisker, so I know that's up today. We'll check that out in just a moment. Got Genius up. This was another Reddit stock, but it is pushing back up really nicely here. Wow, that's surprising. All right, cool. So Genius, definitely going to put on our list here at this point. I know there was news out on this stock over the last week. Cartoon Channel, children's cartoon network TV station, honestly, or it might be internet programming, but a ton of buying coming in off the break from $2.30, but right around 2:41 Eastern time. Let's see if I can scroll back that far on the tape. I think I can. Oh yeah, look at all this on the tape here. I'm going to scroll from bottom to top here. Look at the time in sales. So look at all of the larger transactions here. 230, 152,000 share print, 20K print, 26K print. I'm more focused on the 152K, but it looks like there was a bunch of smart money coming in off the 230 level just about 4 minutes ago. And with it now re-breaking over 230, you're looking at an excellent setup running live right now. So give me a quick sec. Hope I'm not too late. All right, let's see if I can get filled. But yeah, for right now, Genius definitely looking pretty good going into the afternoon. Has to really begin to squeeze up off the 230 level here, though. All right, 230 is a major level here coming up on this trade. All right, cool. So we'll check back in with this one in just a moment. Just see what else we got. A couple of other familiar names here. Lizzie, UNFI perhaps. CLNE, I want to check in with this one, pushing up with Bitcoin perhaps earlier today. We'll get to Bitcoin in just a moment as well. DKNG at the high of the day, a little pricey, but this one has much better liquidity on the order book compared to the new IPO Roblox. So, yeah, for the meantime, the DKNG trade definitely will put on our list, approaching all-time highs too. Ooh, nice squeeze up on BOXL, box light here. The high of the day practically off 260 of 50,000 share order on the ask. Perfect. Just in time. I have an order set to buy Genius if it could re-break over 230. All right, that's all I see on the gainer side, folks. Any familiar names otherwise? There or anything else that's up and making big move popping right now as we speak? Type it in the chat board. Yeah, Just Energy, JE down 37+%. I guess trying to make a gap filling, I reckon, here. Still, I don't know, it's down 37%. Chart doesn't show it. I think this stock had fooled us in the past, if I'm not mistaken. I remember, like, maybe a few months back, this stock TradeStation marked as like down 94% one day. I think it had to do with like a split. So that's what appears to be the case right now. I'm not going to let this fool me again. So yeah, the JE trade, I mean, just check on your end. But for right now, even though it looks good on the chart, I'm not as keen to put this on our list. That might be like a glitch on TradeStation there, just based on a split. Yeah, Tupperware off of earnings. Just the spread's a little wacky. The order book entirely, I would say. GNMK, not much going on there too. TAL, pretty expensive, but this one had moved pretty nicely for us. It's at the low of the day right now, so whereas DraftKings pretty pricey at the high of the day, this one's at the low of the day. I'll slip this one on here for any of our more like level 3 to 5 traders collectively. Has a bit of a spread, but not surprising for a $67 stock. But, for right now, really good direction on the way down. We'll see if this can continue going. I always like to say this with the Dow up 516 points today. I wouldn't expect for there to be a whole lot that's down, right? GSX, another expensive one, also pretty familiar name. Just not making as sharp of a move as the TAL, at least there. All right, folks. So for right now, that pretty much is it from me. If there's anything else that you see that's up, down, left, right, like more than 5%, or perhaps moving with the market, making a sharp move right now, let me know. Already a step ahead here of PC Solutions on YouTube. Our friend Doug on YouTube as well with Genius and BOXL. D asking about Blink, BLNK. Nice little pop right now, I reckon. This is always like a tradable stock, I feel like. Probably more of like a level 3 to 4 stock as we would categorize it. So this is where I'd say there's like not really much to write home about on this Blink trade. It's to where I'd say like if you've done well on this trade day to day, then I'd put it on your personal watch list. But otherwise, there's probably better opportunities right now. All right, which will bring me to Andrea. He's asking about Mara approaching 39 or now approaching 40. So that will bring me to Bitcoin. And I think today's the day, folks. I think today might be the day. And if I'm wrong, then so be it. But I think today's the day I'm wrong. Today's the day where we're going to see Riot and Mara continue pushing in their direction into the close. I always say how Riot and Mara don't make good afternoon moves. But Bitcoin's pushing, And Bitcoin's making a very good push across today entirely, across the last few days, pushing almost all the way back up towards its, towards its all-time high, just right around 58.5. So I'm not guaranteeing it, right? But if there is any day to where we would see continuation on the blockchain stocks with Bitcoin, I think today would be the day. So Mara's up 8.5% plus, approaching 40. We're going to put that on our list. Riot is just more expensive. The spreads are like too wacky on this one too. So I'm sure I'll go with it, but I like Mara more as a day trade. What else we got outside of Mara? Of course, we should talk about Canon. That one pushing up also right now. That one broke all-time highs once again in pre-market this morning, but then dumped off after. So yeah, for right now, I don't mind slipping both the Mara, the Can trade on our list. What else do we have? BT maybe? I don't know. Just check the order book on this. It's pretty empty. I thought there was one more. GWAC is the new SPAC with Bitcoin mining. That one's going nowhere right now. We had the Mara trade, the Can trade, maybe FTFT. That was one from yesterday, maybe. DPW. Nah, neither. All right, so Canon and Mara, at least out of those two from the Bitcoin or blockchain-related stocks, those look pretty good going into the close. And if they don't move up higher, then it wouldn't be too surprising. I'm just saying that, out of all days, I think that today would be the day that I could be wrong. Space bouncing off the low of the day, says Ron in the trading room. Another one that I'd say if you've done well on this stock day-to-day in the past, then put it on your main list, but not really too much to write home about there. The MTC trade from Leda. Pushing up nicely now. I mean, making the afternoon push for the meantime here. Good spread for the meantime also. It's up 10 plus %. All right, so I'll add this to our list too. I like the BOXL a lot. I like the Genius trade a lot. I like the maybe AVEO stock. We'll take a look at that one also. Whoa, that is a hell of a pop. See, where I always say this inside our live trading room once I finish up for all of us in social media, I'll say, listen, folks, stick with the list. If there's something that's making a huge pop after I finish up the meeting, then call it out. Well, thank God we're still, in the meeting here. So for anyone on Facebook Live, YouTube, at least you'll be able to take part in this one here as well. The AVEO, I don't know what happened on this stock. Obviously made a big pop and got halted. I'm going to take a look on Benzinga Pro right now for this trade. All right, so I can't copy and paste, but I'll just state there was an update on AVEO. There was a hearing that they ended up winning FDA approval for its new drug application for treatment of renal cell cancer. Interesting. So a very big pop nonetheless from roughly like 820-ish, perhaps even 810, all the way up to 1058 to where it got halted to now. Yeah, easily enough, AVEO will put on our list. Hopefully it was a really easy trade. I'd focus on 50-cent levels and whole numbers, folks. Probably a lot of buying also coming in off $10.11. Just shoot from the hip there and just use that as a level from the matrix. All right, cool. Skip with Delta Airlines, DAL. Yeah, it's another one, just, side list stock pretty much. All right, folks, I think that just about does it, though. I mean, we have a pretty good list now, I'd say, with, BOXL, with the AMC trade still in play, with Genius, with AVEO now popping, hopefully with Bitcoin stocks proving me wrong finally and pushing higher into the close. We have a pretty good list to work with, all right? So, I said it just before, I'll say it right now. Start and stick with this list. It will give you a very good opportunity to try and catch a big runner going into the end of the day. If there's nothing that moves well from this list in the next 10 minutes, 15 minutes, then at that point, rescan the market yourself, folks. See if there's anything else that looks great taking you into the afternoon. We'll work together here as a team. So if there's anything that I see, I'll call it out. If there's anything that you see, hopefully you call it out too. All right. Yeah, John, the AVEO trade's currently halted. It'll reopen pretty shortly. All right, folks, for all of us on social media, just make sure that you like, subscribe, hit the notify button right there, and make sure you know that make sure you know when we're going live, when we're not. And then aside from that, feel free to join us live inside our trading room just by going to the link down on the banner below. All right, for all of us live inside the room, going to catch my breath, going to refill up on my water here going into the afternoon, and hopefully catch a nice runner with you folks here coming up pretty shortly. Take care.